Kristen with Simply a Student, and I am back with another part of my curriculum series. So the first part was for my Rising at Kindergarten, where I shared with you what we were going to be working with this year as far as workbooks. Kindergarten is a lot of play and things like that, but I shared some of the materials I had got for her to work through the 2020-2021 school year. Guys, it's 2020-2021 school year. Where did the time go? You know. But here I am, nonetheless, sharing with you guys my entire series. So please grab a cup of coffee or tea or even just your water bottle and hang out with me as I share with you guys today what I will be using for my upcoming, I call him a first/second grader. His very first year in school, we kind of did some preschool/kindergarten, and it's kind of just been that middle of the road. Some subjects he's right on target, and some subjects not so much. But that's one of the joys of homeschooling, is we just work and meet them right where they are. So I'm going to get started with you guys and share what we got. So the very first thing I bought for him this year, and I have never used this program prior to a little bit this summer, was All About Reading. Now, I did get him All About Reading too. I was a little bit leery because that is where he struggles the most, is with his reading. There is a placement on their site. He did fall at 2, but there are days when he acts like he can't read at all. So I had purchased one, and we worked on it a bit, and he acted like he couldn't read the first story in the little readers, which were very simple CVC words, and I knew he could, but that's kind of the way he behaved. And we worked with Abby over at Rooted in Rest this year. If you haven't seen her channel, you absolutely have to check it out. She's wonderful. But she is an Usborne consultant. She doesn't advertise that really, but I've been following her for multiple years, and she runs a program over the summer with Usborne for summer reading. And this year, I made my son actually read, opposed to me reading to him, since he was a little bit older and I knew he was capable, and he read through all 3 of the readers fairly with ease for All About Reading 1. So I did go ahead and pick up All About Reading 2. I did buy it secondhand, so I only got the 2 readers. There are only 2 readers with level 2, and the teacher's manual. So there is a workbook. He would rather go learn how to fix his bike than to sit and do workbooks. So I did not purchase it, and after looking through the teacher's guide, they have the workbook pages in here. I don't think it would be suited for him, so I don't think I'll be purchasing it, but they do have a workbook that goes with this. In here, there are 57, maybe 58 lessons. You work through it 20 minutes at a time. 20 minutes is done, so is your lesson. You don't complete per se a whole lesson. You work for 20 minutes. They have 2 readers you will read through. I will show you the very first story. Is this volume 1? Okay, the very first story and the very last story, just to give you a little bit of an idea. So here is the first page. Here. So you can see kind of what where they need to be to begin. Like I said, you can go to their page for a placement test. But here's one of the last stories. And so that just gives you a kind of an idea of the progression through the year for this. So there are tons and tons of mamas out there who have done very in-depth reviews, who have used this program, who know a lot more than me. So I encourage you to go check them out if you think this is something that may suit you guys. So we are really excited to use this year. Let's move this chair over here so I can lay the books down. And then in correlation with that, we're also going to be using Sight Words for first graders by Evan Moore. So they do not have this in a second grade. It's pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade. This was sent to me for free by Evan Moore. I did a full review on that, and if you guys are interested, I will link that in the description below. I loved this book after reviewing it, and so I'm going to be incorporating it into his phonics for this year. So we will be doing this. There are, I believe, roughly 18 weeks, so this is not a full year thing. This is something we won't be doing every day, although reading and math are still a major focus for him, more than his older sisters, because like I said, he's just a little bit behind. So this will be something that we majorly focus on. So we will be doing that. That will be pretty much everything we'll be doing for reading, except for just reading aloud. I'll be doing reading to him and reading to all of his siblings, or his sisters will be reading aloud to everybody. So, and then we got this Mind Benders. I picked this up last year for my 3rd/4th grader, and she absolutely loved it. Like, she begged to do it all the time. She begged me to buy a new one as soon as she finished it. She would have done logic all day, every day. She takes after her mama because that's one of my favorites. And so my son saw it, and he thought he would really be interested. And so he picked it up for this year. We'll see how it goes. I don't push these types of things. We play a lot of logic games. So if he's not into the workbook, games are a great way to learn. But he really seemed interested in it, so I picked this one up when I picked theirs up for the year. I also picked up The Good and the Beautiful Handwriting. So when I began my journey homeschooling, I had stuck with Handwriting Without Tears. It is what we used when we were enrolled in a cyber school with my oldest, and it worked really well. Then my second came along, and she is just a working bug. She loves to do workbooks. She loves to get things done. And so she finished her book, and she asked me for another one, and I couldn't get, it would have moved her to cursive, and she wasn't ready for cursive because that was in 2nd grade. So I went and picked up the Handwriting by the Good and the Beautiful on her level, so she would have another book, and I fell in love with it. And so we have done it every year since, and I've been nothing but pleased with it. So my son did end up starting. I did buy him Handwriting Without Tears for his very first book, and we got this afterwards, and he loved it. So we're sticking with it. Here's just an example page, and you can trace and write, and then down here is a place, find an object, put it on your desk, and draw it. So there's just a lot of little things like that through it. This is a very Christian, actually that's like God Loves Me, I think. It is a very Christian-based curriculum, so it will have God and verses and those types of things written in it. So if you guys are not interested in that, it doesn't suit your family, that's something to know. But I do really, really love this program. My kids have done both, and my kids prefer this program. So we'll be continuing with The Good and the Beautiful this year. Now, last year, I did not do a specific devotion with or biblical curriculum with my youngest. We started out with Route 66 for everybody in our morning time basket, and our morning time basket, if you have followed my end of the year reviews, kind of fell apart because my son was struggling so much, and my daughters were ready to kind of move on and be done with their school day. And so my daughters just went to doing individual devotions, but that was something that we didn't particularly focus on with my youngest because he was struggling so much with math and reading. We just incorporate Jesus into all parts of our lives, and that was enough at that point. Kind of like our preschoolers, we read our Bible and those types of things. But this year, I decided that everybody would be getting their individual devotion book, since we wouldn't be doing group subjects. And I decided on the daily devotional 1 year by Word of Life. So if you have watched Erica over at Confessions of a Homeschooler, that is where I first saw this. And I absolutely fell in love with it. However, they are $20 a book. I know, $20 isn't that much, but when you start adding that up, that's $80 for devotions for the year, and there were a lot of times I could find one book and do it for everybody, and so that's what I did. And like I said, this year, I was kind of ready to bite the bullet. I had to figure out a way to do it for everybody, and when I went to their website, they had, this is actually last year's version, so 2019, 2020. This is that version, and it was on clearance for half price at $10 a book. So I jumped on that. I'm really excited about it. There's nothing different as far as date. Like, it's not going to screw you up per se. It's done by week. And so let me see here. Yeah. So here I just flipped open. This is week 11. And each day has a little block that you do. And then on the back of the page will be the rest of the week, and then it starts over. So it's just a very small short, to the point kind of thing. What I did understand was if you wanted to do this in a group setting, that all of the grades correlate to the same verse. So my kids all got this. They all got the same year. So if I wanted to pull everybody together and have my maybe oldest read the verse and then work through their individual stuff, we could do that if a day worked out like that, but it's fine to do individually too. So that's something just worth noting. But I was really excited about that. And then we have geography. So again, something I'm not going to incredibly focus on, but we did do a geography last year by Evan Moore, and it was the K through 2, like maps and types of things, and my son loved it. He absolutely begged to do that, where he never begged to do any schoolwork. And so I did want to definitely pick up a geography. I had just picked up like the daily geography, which is what my daughters had done previously. I wasn't overly excited about that program, but my daughters liked it. It was very simple. There was nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't exciting to me. But it's what I picked up. It's very inexpensive. It fits the bill. And, sorry, my neighbor's going past. But it's very beautiful out, so I wanted to sit outside. But then I was given the opportunity to, once again, have something free from Evan Moore to go ahead and review. And once I got it, I fell in love with it. So my review for this is not up yet. I will give you a sneak peek inside, but if you guys want, keep an eye out for the full review on this. And inside is just so colorful. And it's still very simple, but it is colorful. If you've ever seen their daily review books, which I will show you in science in a minute, they're not colorful at all. The Skill Sharpener set is. So I was really excited to get this and to try it out. Like I said, I've been thrilled looking at it. I can't wait to do a thorough review for everybody, but we will be adding this in for our geography. It does have, let me see. I looked it up when I kind of got an idea. It's 128 pages. It doesn't really give me weeks per se. But it's not a super thick book, so it's not something that we will have to do daily by any means to make our way through. And if we don't make it all the way through, such as life, he's learning every day anyway. So, and then, as I was mentioning, I got the daily science right here. So he did this daily science last year because we needed something very simple. Again, this was the other thing he asked to do a lot. He doesn't care to do reading. He doesn't care to do math. He was enjoying doing the workbooks for the different subjects. So I did go ahead and pick this up again this year. Even though this is all stuff we could learn just through reading and hands-on, if he's actually enjoying it, I want to make sure that I'm fostering that love. And so it's very simplistic. There's usually a little like paragraph here to read about and some simple questions or multiple choice or matching activity, and it's 5 days a week, the same topic, and then it switches topics. Now I have not, I can't remember if I did earlier this summer or not, because this is one of the first books I looked through. I don't remember anything in this particular book when I was flipping through it that clashed with my Christian values, but I do know that my daughter, we have used these in the past, and my daughter has brought them to me and said, "Mom, what about this?" And so we've just had to X out entire units, mostly things kind of about like old Earth and like millions and billions of years ago. So it depends where you fall in your faith about that. If that's a problem for you, remember just to flip through this. But in general, I do not find a problem that this clashes with our Christian beliefs, that it just, you have one or two of those units talking about evolution or talking about those types of things. And if your student's old enough to understand those concepts, and you could talk about the differences in that. If your student's younger, that might be something that you want to avoid. So, and then... yeah, and then I got so many different things, I know. The next thing is our math, and we are sticking with Horizons. So most of my students use Horizons for math. My oldest uses a different program because Horizons just was not a good fit for her To this point, my other students have loved Horizons, and I love Horizons. It is a spiral curriculum, which means it goes around and comes back to concepts. So if they're working on something like rounding, it'll come back to rounding the whole way through the year at different points. It's not just going to master it and then not use it again until next year, or not use it again until the end of the year, when you may have kind of forgotten that concept because you haven't used it a whole lot. So I do love the spiral method myself. I love the fact that it is very colorful. And I love the fact that it is, again, a Christian curriculum. I try really hard personally to find Christian curriculums that work for us. More important that it works for us than it is particularly a Christian curriculum, but that is definitely an importance for me if I can find one that fits both check marks. And so this, again, I have not, and you'll have to check in my review at the end of the year once we've used it, I have not seen anything in this particularly that is overly Christian. I guess sometimes you can avoid those types of things. I know in some of my older kids, they really have some very more in-depth scripture and stuff like that. I didn't notice that in this. To this point, first grade was just, Anne had 2 pencils and Billy had 3 pencils. How many pencils do they have all together? It really wasn't anything particularly like that. So I did pick these up again. I'm sure we will love them. The one thing I do notice with Horizons is the older you get, the more problems there are. And of course that's going to be with any curriculum, but I do think it gets very intense the older you get. I've got to the point where even with the student I was talking about earlier, who is my work bee and who loves to do things, she takes her math book to bed for fun. She does do Horizons. She even doesn't want to do all the problems just because there's so many. So I do find myself crossing out every other, or crossing out sections that maybe I know personally she has done over and over again and has mastered. So I do think, looking at the Horizons second grade, that I'm getting to the point where we might have to start doing that with my son also. So just beware if you do get the Horizons curriculum. I do think it is work intensive, but that doesn't mean you have to do every problem. Now, we have never done really a language arts program. We have focused mainly on reading. I can't say never, I guess. We focused mainly on reading and math. Last year we did do the Evan Moore grammar and punctuation, just kind of a slight introduction. And I really, really liked that. So this year I thought that we should start getting into more things. I picked up 2 different books. We may use one, we may use the other, we may use them in combination. I'm really not sure, and that's why sometimes I buy a little bit more than I may need. Not because I want to spend the money and not use it, but with this particular student, I'm not sure what's going to work yet. With my older students, we're kind of there when we figured out what publishers and what types of things work. With my son, I really have not. So we started with this. It's Language Lessons for a Living Education by Master Books. My older students do this book, and they really do love it. They actually ask for it, even though I don't think for them it's fully what they need. I think they need a little bit more at their age in the actual writing department. And my son doesn't, so I'm hoping this will be just enough for him. That being said, we'll see. But it does have 5 days a week of different exercises, and on the 5th day is always kind of like a spelling practice. So here is it says short eyes, and it's working on some kind of spelling lesson, which eliminates the need for a spelling text this year, which I think is really good for him. Now, for my older students, I do have them doing an additional spelling text and actually just skipping this page. But for my son, I don't think that he is ready for a full spelling curriculum. He's still struggling too much with reading. So I think this will be a perfect fit for him. It also has things like picture studies and just different easy things. So, and then it does definitely get into grammar and punctuation type things. There you go. There's proper nouns. And a lot of this is stuff that he did work on last year. And this year, lesson 1 is touching on some sight words, so it does touch on some phonics related type things. reading, narration. That's what I was looking for, and my mind went blank. So we do have that. I don't think that there is much writing, not necessarily like handwriting, but actual writing in how to create a sentence involved in that. So I don't know if we'll use this or not, but I thought it worth picking up. I picked up the daily 6-trait writing, which my older students have used and I've really enjoyed. I did pick it up in the 1st grade level. Again, I don't feel like he's completely on target for 2nd grade. So this is a little more simplistic than most 2nd graders, but you can get the idea. And it does have over here a place to write. So even if it's just writing a sentence, that one says write a story that has a beginning, middle, and end. It could have 3 sentences, and for him that would be fantastic. If we complete this, it will probably be oral narration, and I will be filling out some of those actual writing sections for him. So I did pick that up this year as well. And the very last textbook I got for him, and again, this will not be something that he does every day, but is My Story. And I did get My Story 1. We have not started this program at all, so I didn't want to skip right to 2. We'll have plenty of time to do this, and then we can do My Story 2 next year and move into the other programs through them, like the American Story, which is what my older kiddos are doing. So I did really like this. This is a text that you do write in, unlike the older, like 4th through 6th grade type programs where you have to like copy the worksheets, or you can indeed write in the teacher's manual worksheets, but then you would have to buy a teacher's manual every time you are teaching your student. This is an all-in-one workbook, kind of like where you read the text to them, or if they are capable of reading. My older daughters could have read this at that age. And then you do the workbook activity, and you do write directly into, I can't get that, my fingers are sticking. So it's a front and back of a page for each lesson. It is very colorful. If you are aware of master books, they try to make things kind of short and sweet. They're not overwhelming at all. So I'm really excited about doing this. It's, let's see. It is a full year program, I believe, and it is set up to do every day of the week, but I don't think we will. Yeah, it's a 180-day program. So we may or may not do the whole thing of this. I'm not overly worried about finishing the complete series if we don't. He is, like I said, he is not super workbook oriented. You can see how many workbooks we have, so there's a lot. The only things I am set that he has to do every single day are reading and math. And then everything else is, like I said, things like science or geography that he wants to do, we will do. And we'll kind of, I just wanted to get him some more things so he learns that the older he gets, he probably will have a little bit heavier of a workload. That doesn't mean he needs to sit and do workbooks all day, especially since that's not his favorite way of learning. But that's the great thing about homeschool. We can kind of tailor to how each student works. So while my older kiddos do more workbooks and they enjoy them, this student who doesn't, I'm going to give him some opportunities, see if he likes anything. And if he doesn't love everything, we will focus on that math and reading, and we will continue to learn other ways. So if you guys like these kinds of videos, please give me a thumbs up and think about subscribing down there if you have not. And keep an eye out. We will be having some upcoming videos for my rising 4th and 2nd grader. See y'all guys all next time. Bye.